About to go 3, 2, live. We've actually got people waiting, which is kind of crazy. Talking
All
about
right.
this new car, buddy, these new cars, these next gen cars. I'm not going to lie, they look a little hot. I kind of like them. I'd say the least interesting was the Toyota. Um, I like them. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they look pretty good. They're they're very similar to the street going cars.
That's right, bud.
Um, they're when you look at them, I don't. They're a loaded thing. They look cool. The proof will be in the racing, just how good they are. They're talking about further horsepower reductions and then eventually a whole new engine component, which will likely mean transmission difference too. I would think they're not going to run on a sequential shifter system. I don't know, but there's
Yeah.
lots of changes yet to come with this car. So initially they look pretty cool. Uh, you can see underneath them, which I like that a lot, which means they're not glued right to the track, which gives me optimism that maybe they're not breakneck horsepower. Yeah. But at some point, we got to start looking at the fuel consumption thing and all that sort of stuff as they change engine packages. So um, they they look pretty racy. So let's see how they do. It sucks when you look at them and you think about all the fab guys that aren't going to be needed anymore for some of these for all the teams. It's going to mean mass layoffs, but I mean, it's easy for us to sit here and say, but I mean, like the system, the times are changing, and NASCAR traditionally has a pretty antiquated way of doing things, and they had to modernize sometime. It's never a good time to cut people loose. This is all what I see when I look at those cars. I mean, this is a very pivotal time, and I mean, the media that cover the sport aren't making any bones about that either. I mean,
Mhm.
there's a lot riding on this car. So there's my opening.
That's a good one, man. I will say, one of the things that we have to, there's no debating, is that they've got to do something quick.
Yeah.
Um, and they've got to do something real fast if they want to keep sponsors happy, because clearly this year, this sport is in bad. I mean, they like to talk a big game,
Mm-hmm.
right? But they're not as good off as they like to say they are. They're not. Because if they were, we would have 50 drivers trying to qualify for races. We would have fully sponsored trucks, cars, um, teams.
Mm-hmm.
We would have all sorts of that. We don't have that. That's far from reality. We lost one of our good buddies. He lost a good ride because of sponsorship and funding issues. Brett Moffitt clearly out of his truck ride because, once again, funding. Same old shit, different day, man. Sheldon Creed, constantly no sponsor. Zane Smith, constantly no sponsor. Ty Gibbs, constantly no sponsor. So something's clearly not working. It's not. And at the same time, what about Trackhouse? How many times have they had to have Camping World be their sponsor? Right? It's not. I don't think it's as glory and great as their CEOs are going to. Obviously, they're going to talk about their product and say how great everything is. But why do you think they're now branching out with the numbers? Why are they branching out with the different tracks, street circuits, a new car? It's because they realize we got to do something now
Mm-hmm.
because we're losing steam in rapid form.
It's reaction time, not they're being reactive, not proactive, unfortunately. I mean, like this, the writing's been on the wall for a long time
Yeah.
in terms of, um, I mean, in like the mid 2000s, it was all the rage. Like, as you could tell with the peak popularity, everybody was driving like Suburbans and Hummers and all that sort of stuff and flocking to racetracks by the hundreds of thousands. And now the world's a different place than it was even 15 years ago. And we're seeing it here in Canada too. It is a tough sell that the model has to change. It is entirely too expensive to compete across the board in racing, and they have to bring it into to keep it relevant. Like in NASCAR's early days, it was, I mean, the moonshiners getting together and seeing what they brought and if they could outrun each other. But I mean, it eventually became a proving ground for the manufacturers, testing somewhat real world technology, or at least things they could apply to passenger cars. And then it transitioned into like the tubular chassis and becoming more of the playground than the proving ground, as I like to call it. And now maybe this again can maybe bring some relevance into the OEM, like development of passenger cars, and make it a proving ground again, which will help keep racing relevant. And I think all disciplines sort of need to look that way in a sense, because as you said, I mean, the fan base isn't what it used to be. The TV deals are for the down south are definitely a great help to NASCAR. So clearly they are, I mean, they're admitting that it's a crossroads. Steve Phelps said, even like with the current engine pushrod V8 model, there isn't a lot of interest from other OEMs. So, I mean, to facilitate and help grow the sport, they need to look at other source power plants. I love the sound of a V8. Hell, my wife drives one. I mean, but we are going to have to look to the future if there is going to be a future for NASCAR racing.
Well, the reality of it, Graydon, is that they did this to themselves. Like, we've talked about this time and time again. They fucked themselves over every chance that they got. And I guess they didn't think about it back then. And this could have been from the Brian France era, but it may have even been before then. They didn't strike when the iron was hot. And now you have a problem because you've isolated so many people away from the sport. Now they're trying, you can see they're trying to fix that. They're trying to make it more,
and hey, good on them for that. Sorry.
And yeah, absolutely. We're not opposed to that. I want this to be as diverse as possible.
But yeah,
what they did is they've made it so centralized as American. But then you have manufacturers that come in that aren't American based, and all of a sudden it's like certain members of the fan base get all offended. The reality of it is a lot of people drive foreign manufactured cars because that's what they can afford. So if you were to bring in a Nissan, a Hyundai, Kia, Mazda, did I say Honda already? I think I did. Dodge even. You're going to automatically bring in more interest. I think it loses so much interest because it has three manufacturers, three of all the car companies in the world. You have three. What does that say about the product? It says it's constantly just feeding one market. It's not feeding a global audience. And so you can't get into we're going to bring people from all over. Well, you're not. People aren't going to want to see an American car race if they want to see their foreign cars race, right? It's the same thing when you start doing more of the street and road courses. I think that's more attractive to those other manufacturers. Right? It's and again, this new model, it sounds like that's their idea. I think Phelps and O'Donnell touched on it a couple times, was that, the idea behind this is to hopefully attract more manufacturers, more OEMs.
I would hope, yeah.
You would think is a brilliant idea. I don't see it being bad. If we get to a point where there's different tire manufacturers, different, like I said, manufacturers, that's great. I love the idea that they don't have to build a specific car for specific tracks. that's way more attractive
Mm-hmm.
for an owner. That's way more attractive for people that like the BJ McLeods of the world, that might not have a ton of money, but they could get into Cup that way.
Yeah.
And I think you would definitely see some of those, like the Ryan Siegs of the world. They could try their hand at Cup now because they don't have to build a car for every race that they go to. The only issue is that they are limiting how many cars you're allowed. So you're only allowed 7 cars, I think, per individual team, which is very small. But if you look at the competitive edge, if I'm not mistaken, did Charlie Langenstein from the Starcom, did he not mention that they only had like 5 cars in their fleet? So that evens things up a lot in that span.
Yeah, you're right about that.
I'm pretty sure Langenstein, he said that they only have about 5 to 6 cars in their entire fleet. So if you go and you have, say, and maybe this would help with more silly season during the season. We used to have it where if you wrecked and you had a driver that constantly, let's take Mike Skinner in 03, not producing results, out of the race car mid-season.
Mm-hmm.
And they had Steve Park, Jeff Green. You had constant silly season, and we don't see that anymore. Again, as much as people might not, it is somebody still losing their job or whatever. It's like a trade or an acquisition mid-season. I think people would like that, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
That's more similar to the stick and ball sports, but to me, I want this to be like an NR 2003 game. I want to have Hyundais on there, Subarus, Mazdas, Kias, BMW, Mercedes, whatever you can get out there in a stock car form. Obviously, Mercedes is a little far-fetched, but you know what I mean? Like, Graydon, we had 4 when I started watching NASCAR. You had Dodge, Pontiac, Chevy, and Ford.
Mm-hmm.
In all that time, one manufacturer has come in. One. What does that say? Like that's awful when you think about it. It's awful. Like, you've had one, Toyota. And in a way, Toyota was still involved in racing years ago because they were with CART. They were with IndyCar for many years.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it wasn't like they were completely new to racing. So I know that there's a lot of talk, and there's just talk is all it is with Dodge coming back. I think you and I would love that. We're huge Dodge fans. If I could see oh my God, if I can see a Challenger on that new next gen car, oh my God.
Even a Charger would look pretty sick in the next gen format, but I don't know. It's hard to say what's going to happen. When you look at NASCAR traditionally, like when you read books, you see documentaries, the France family historically were big on doing it their way, sort of resting on their laurels. If it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of mentality. And even OEMs were like Henry Ford was that way. I mean, just keep building Model Ts because that's what worked until the competition started building something better. And then they had to do a reactive reality check to it. I mean, North America as a whole is notorious for doing that. And it always comes at a radical swing and it comes at the expense of, in this case, of labor force. You're going to trim a lot of people from the companies in order to survive. And that's not any different than any industry through time in North America, in the world. But I mean, and to your point, the world is a global economy now. So it is quite narrow-minded to think that the big three in North America doesn't even exist. Anymore. That's exactly it. No. Every car has components from countries around the world. It's just a question of what your brand loyal to or what you can best afford, what fits your family, that type of thing. And it's high time that that NASCAR starts thinking that way. And hopefully this new model will attract manufacturers because of those reasons, because it is a global economy and people aren't looking at just these four or three now in the Cup Series or in the top three.
Those vehicles aren't even the most affordable cars anymore, right? There's much cheaper options for people, and
you can buy 2 Kias for a Chevrolet. I mean,
yeah, exactly. And so I don't. And even if they have to go the avenue like they did back in 2004, where you start Toyota off in the truck series, right?
Yep.
Do the same thing. You start off with, Dodge.
Yeah, grow it.
Oh my God, bring back Dodge Rams for the truck series. I will lose my friggin' mind. The reality of it is, it's a tired concept. As difficult as that is to say,
it's a wake-up call. Yeah,
it is. I can't believe in like 18 or 17 years of watching NASCAR that or even 19, I guess now, they haven't changed anything. Like, they're wondering why they don't have numbers. They're wondering why they don't have this, because you have to change. You can't have the same schedule doing the same tracks for almost 20 years and expect things are just magically going to stay the same or get better. That's not how the world works, right? You and we've talked about this time and time again. Street circuits are going to work. People are just inept to change. Now, where I draw the line is NASCAR forcing numbers to be in a specific spot.
Mm-hmm.
No, that they don't need to do that. Listen, if a team has a sponsor, that's perfectly okay. Leaving it the way it is, fine. Leave it like that. But if the sponsor wants to put as much of their branding on a car as possible, that should be up to the team, not NASCAR, to make that decision. We see it up here in the North where you do have both options. And you know what? It makes it look really nice on the track. They aren't all the same.
Absolutely. It's good buddy here. This guy right says he will paint his car he'll paint it hot pink, put the number wherever the sponsor wants it. It's whatever the sponsor wants. And why shouldn't it be? They're paying for the real estate. So I mean, what they say goes, and a lot of people need to have that mentality. If you're going to let a deal fall apart because you want to put your number on the door, then you got some pretty narrow-mindedness. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no team.
You have your traditionalists, and if you're listening, I'm sorry, not sorry. But I mean, this day and age, you need to have that. That car is a blank canvas, and it should be rendered and put together however that company that's paying the dime wants it.
And listen, you're not going to have, this isn't the day. Like, we don't have, it's not going to be the years where you have contingencies that take up, a good chunk of the front of the car. This doesn't happen anymore, as much as I would love it to.
Except for a John Andretti throwback from Starcom.
That's right.
I love it.
Beautiful one. But even contingencies and associates, you don't get those either. So this is blank, that's blank, all of this is blank. So if you're a company, do you want to put your company on the smallest part of the car,
right,
or do you want to put it on the biggest spot? Now, is it really going to sell more products by putting the car there? Probably not.
It sure as hell won't hurt.
It won't hurt. And the one thing that we've said, like at least the Penny's cars, they can look beautiful. It just depends how you paint it, how you do the car scheme. Jerry Hall does a lot of the paint schemes up here in Canada. He knows how to make a paint scheme look real nice. He knows how to make it with just the sponsor kind of figured. And anybody that wants to talk about this goes back to ASA. The ASA cars looks beautiful, and they were just covered with sponsors, and they had their number wherever. I still believe that Mark Urban is probably the most correct in the method that we have to take, and that is the rear window number. You can use your fonted number however you want, put in the rear window, and do it exactly like a V8 supercar. That's full access for your sponsors, full access. And again, what has been the problem, Graydon? It's always been that there is no driver for that one sponsor anymore. Well, this could very well attract more companies if they're featuring their entire logos covering a car, right? You could just say, let's take the McDonald's colors, right? Bill Elliott was the McDonald's car. For years, he was the McDonald's car, and you knew it was him. Is it because he was number 94, or was it because he drove the McDonald's car? It's a very hot debate.
Yeah, and cases can be made for both. It's hard to say because some guys are more associated to their number. Like, I mean, Jeff Gordon, you think DuPont, 24. But DuPont shifted into Exalta. You're always going to associate the 3 with Dale Earnhardt and Gordon with 24.
Exactly.
And the King and 43. I mean, STP pretty much stuck with him the whole time, but they weren't always there either.
Yep. I think it should be, if your team wants to have it on the quarter panel, have it on the quarter panel. If they want to have it on the rear window, have it on the rear window. It doesn't need to be uniform anymore, because I think uniform is boring. It's boring. It's the same. And we've seen that a lot of teams have no fucking clue how to paint cars anymore. JTG Doherty used to have some of the best paint schemes out there. And my God, have they given up? Even their throwback this year is not a throwback. It is the lamest attempt at drawing and painting a car that I've ever seen. Awful stuff. The best JTG throwback is by Cowlick Racing this year.
Yeah, for Dinger. I was gonna say, you can tell it drives people like our buddy Davin Cornelius at drive through.
Yeah. He was going to be on the show. He was going to be on the show today. He's getting his vaccine today, however. So
attaboy, Davin. Good job.
Lucky bastard gets his.
Yeah, I'm jealous. But yeah, like Davin can put together an amazing paint scheme. Like it is a true art form to lay something on a car and make it work. And that's the thing, like you say, with Jerry Hall, he has a knack for it. Working with curvatures of the body, like when there is curvatures of the body, a Dodge Challenger in the Pinty series looks like nothing, like no other race car. And you can make a paint scheme really pop on a Dodge Challenger that might not necessarily translate as well to the Camaro body or some sort of Ford body, Fusion or maybe a Toyota someday. Or
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Hopefully. I don't know what we're going to see. Yeah. That's a whole other conversation. But I mean, just the paint scheme topic. I mean, that's as dinosaur of a thought as like the push rod gas sucking V8s, again, as much as I love them, that are going to last forever. Door numbers are not critical to racing survival.
And you think that this is going to be the biggest debate? Just wait until they have to go energy efficient.
Exactly. I mean,
and that's coming. As much as people want to bitch and complain about the numbers, just wait until these cars are going to have to
it's on the doorstep.
It's going to happen.
It has to happen.
It is critical that a sport that is thought of as a greenhouse gas, powerhouse in NASCAR is going to go green. They're going to go energy cars. I don't know how they do it in all honesty, because those Formula E cars sound awful. They're the worst sounding race cars in my opinion. And I don't know how they fix that, but knowing the energy, the engineers and some of the people that they have in charge, they're going to do whatever they can to make these, cars look and sound as great as possible. I will say that to me, the cars now look way snazzier than whatever the hell we're driving right now.
Yes.
Like, they look way more stock. They have way more, I don't even know what it is. It's just the width and then the lower roof they look sexy. That's
the roof.
Say,
all those
I can't
things
say the
at least
cars now
make
look
it.
sexy. The cars now look like a box. And I thought the COT looked like a box. But they look more. They look more like a box now than I think they have. If you do a comparison between the new car and that old car, they look boxy as hell.
I always joke with the boys for the Xfinity series. I mean, the Supra is the Toyota race car, and the Xfinity Toyota Supra looks like the box that a real Supra would come in.
Yeah. Well, and that's the interesting topic too, is okay, if they change the numbers, is that across the board? Because
open it up to the trucks are a hard, a truck body is a lot different than a car body, but at the same time, again, the professionals, good paint scheme designers could make something
you'd think, but
pretty
this
unique.
leads into that conversation that our boy Rafael Lessard, his money dried up. I feel that that's maybe a Canac deal, because Canac was the one that was coming on board. Originally, it was going to be 12 races with Canac, and it was chalked down. And that's typically the first thing to go is sponsorships in terms of businesses. If they've got to cut costs, it's marketing stuff has got to be the first thing to go.
Absolutely.
And if Canac is not able to run and have their stores open, well, clearly, I believe it's stores. I think they're construction. Are they not? Construction company, something along those lines. If they're not able to run because of COVID, it makes total sense why he's out of that ride. Now, he's out of that ride because they're not going to get rid of Sheldon Creed, who won the championship last year, and they're not going to get rid of Zane Smith, who almost won the championship last year. Chase Purdy has funding, and so does Tyler Ankrum.
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of automatically the odd man out.
At the same time, Graydon, once again, Brett Moffitt is in the same boat. Grant Enfinger is in the same boat. I don't understand. And again, this is where there's problems.
Yes.
I feel they're so close to having another one of those red horse racing situations where mid-season, that team, top contending team, is done. And I worry GMS is heading down that road, because how many races would they have been able to actually have if not for Marcus Lemonis? How many races?
That's valid.
How many races was that 2 and that 21 truck been unsponsored this year?
I mean, Marcus has been extremely motivated to create this model to try and help teams out. And you're right, like, it's no secret that they've been on there a fair bit. It's I don't know.
And the trucks have way more space. Yeah, they have that whole deck lid. Where's the designs there? Where are the companies? They're not lining up. They're not lining up to become a part of the series. So it's, again, new cars, great for Cup, and Cup's been struggling, but you've got struggling all the way down into ARCA. Do you see how pathetic ARCA is this year?
Yes.
13 cars in the West Series. The main series had, again, it was like 8 cars that were actually competitive at Talladega. Or at Kansas, it was even less than that. Ty Gibbs could have lapped the whole field if they didn't have that mandatory caution. And this is supposed to be the future. No, ARCA is a Toyota development series. That's all it's been for years. Trucks is looking worse and worse in terms of keeping things, well, because again, you have the main sponsor of the series sponsoring all the teams that can't get a sponsor, and it's not 1 or 2, great. It's 6 or 7 trucks week in and week out.
Yeah.
Then you have Xfinity, which to me still looks the safest. It still looks the best. But again, how many of those cars are unsponsored?
It's true. Again, like in NASCAR's in the real world, it's a business. Every business has its it's growth period, but there's contraction periods. And the acquisition of ARCA, whether you tie it directly to NASCAR's acquisition of ARCA, but there's going to have to be changes because like that series is struggling.
You can throw a big sponsor in it, but it doesn't change.
It doesn't fix things. No. The writing is on the wall that there's going to have to be choices made. And this all started from the unveiling of the new Cup cars. But I mean, this is a trickle down effect to everybody. I mean, we have to look at the health of the sport and see what works and what doesn't. If you keep running a business, keep the lights on and the doors open for stuff that doesn't sell, what happens? You just spend yourself right out of money and shut the door. And then you end up owing people a ton of money. And they have to do a pretty good cost and return on investment analysis of these series and find out. And it comes at the expense of teams with staff, drivers, driver development. I mean, the ripple effect is huge, but you can't ignore, like you said, the elephant in the room. If you're running an uncompetitive series, it'll just naturally take care of itself. People are just going to stop watching and stop going, and then it's just going to die out. If you start trying to recognize the problem and do something about it, like this ladder system that Harvick's talked so much about for quite a while now, and trying to unite a bunch of these series into a true ladder system. And this goes double for Canada. I mean, we have to try and get everything together into, and when I say a ladder system for the drivers that do want to carry on, there is nothing wrong with the Matt Craftons of the world and the Scott Steckleys that are happy to make a living in racing and enjoy the fun of racing in a single series and building a career and a history and a dynasty in some cases in it. So all that has to be looked at.
Well, and the reality of it is the development series is not really doing much. Like, we'll be honest. There's been a lot of success that's come out of it from a certain class of drivers, but the percentages, if you look at how many drivers have gone through that NASCAR Next program, it's very minuscule with who's actually made it to the big show. Because what happens? Let's take a very famous, not famous name. Dylan Kwasniewski. Very, very good start to his career. What happened? He had funding. He was with a top team. He won both championships. And then he got up there and his sponsor said, you know what? This is not worth it. It's too expensive. Goodbye. Longtime sponsor in Rockstar Energy Drink, a very reputable company that's actually sponsored up here in Canada as well.
Yep.
And they said goodbye. What happened to his career? Kaput. Gone.
Yeah.
Gray Golding. He had Krispy Kreme. What happened? Came up, lost Krispy Kreme. He went missing for years. Now he's actually got back to having some sponsors, which is great, but same situation. Jeb Burton, he came up, had sponsorship. It went kaput. It's the same story. And now I worry about those guys coming up. Chase Cabry, Colin Cabry, those are names that were in that development series. Julia Landauer, they were in that NASCAR Next program. They were there for years, but had no sponsor. And what happened? They ran out and lost their ride because there's nothing available because there's no sponsors for them. Ryan Vargas is so close to that too. Like our good buddy Ryan Vargas got himself TikTok. And what happened? TikTok didn't stick around. 6 races was great, but then they said goodbye. That is a problem. If they were able to get TikTok and TikTok stuck around, way different story now.
And then tie it all together to the cost of racing. I mean, and listen, we're not picking, I guess we are picking the sport apart, but let's bring it back to the unveiling of this.
Adam Ross and Clinton Jeffrey. Adam Ross told us if we're paying for it, we have to be honest. And you and
Yeah,
I, we've been
Consumer
very, very
Reports.
nice. We've been very, very nice for our whole tenure, but we got to get heated up and we got to talk. And it annoys me so much because there's people who like Raja Karuth, Isabella
Yes.
Robusta, who I actually think could be something in this sport. And they don't have those big sponsors yet. And I worry that they're not going to get them. And that's what's like, it's so frustrating to see ARCA be what it is and just see it's just being Toyota guy, Toyota. And it's like, even that it's not doing anything for the young Toyota drivers. It's not, because they're not competing against real competition. Then they get up into the truck series, like say Todd Gillen. Todd realized real quick,
Reality check.
That's not what I was dealing with when I was in ARCA or when I was in
Exactly.
Canada.
That's the thing. What are you preparing these kids for if you're running a series that the competition is so
poor?
Thin? Yeah, exactly. Then they almost build up a false sense of confidence and then get up into where the series are competitive and they're just getting their asses beat and they can't get out of their own way. I mean, like I said, bringing it back to the Cup car, it's a good start, but it's that unveiling right here has exploited all the things that need to happen in order for that Cup car to keep going around in the future. We need to build I don't mean we, but they need to have a proper ladder system that fans can get behind, a sports economy that makes sense and the point system that makes sense, and find a competition model that works, that stuff that just doesn't make new fans come in and be like, well, what do these points mean? Championship points mean? What do these stages do? Do they get points for that? And like it just muddles everything up, and everything needs to be down to that KISS theory, the keep it simple, stupid theory. And from top to bottom, front to back, if they're going to call this, if this is the true next gen, maybe they are. I mean, we're not on the inside, but I would hope that all these avenues are being explored and trying to find a way to ensure the health and not only the surviving of the sport, but a thriving of it again, to make it relevant and to keep. There's no secret that there's a disconnect with the car altogether. With nobody drives and goes to for the love of driving anymore, or the love of the automobile anymore. It's an appliance, just the same as a phone or a fridge or a stove.
There's no buy on Sunday, sell on, race on Sunday,
race on Sunday and sell on Monday. I mean, I feel like I'm the old school walk and talking model of that sort of thing. That it's, and that's the thing. Not they have to find a way to identify and relate to the new people coming up, and they are doing it, albeit retroactively. Yeah.
They should have been taking this route years ago. Like iRacing's been around since 2008.
Yeah, Junior. I mean, he talked about racing sim all the time.
And they decided until now to start focusing on and having that as a big thing. And there's a lot of hypocritical moments and movements that they make. There's movements where you just shake your head and go, like that tire situation on Sunday.
Oh my God, Sunday.
The caution that wasn't a caution, right?
The whole race gave me a headache.
I mean, I'm a big fan. I like Jesse Iwuji, but he did not win the fan vote for tonight. As much as they like to tout that he did, he didn't. Not when he's against names like Vargas or Alfredo, or not Alfredo, but Caruth, like people that have a real big online presence. I'm sorry, he didn't. This is the type of thing that people are not going to be okay with. And I'm all for diversity in the sport, and I'm all for it, having people coming in and doing these type of things, but having Keelan Harvick in the race and not your full-time competitors is a slap in the face to those small teams. There's so many things that it's like they take so many positive steps, and then they do something and you just go, what in the world are you thinking? And
Yeah.
that tire thing from Sunday was, you clearly don't want Chris Buescher to win this race. You clearly don't want certain people to win. And it comes off as if they have a bias. And unfortunately, Graydon, they're not doing anything to make it look like they're trying to make it any easier for people. I would have loved if who came out of those next gen cars, the next gen drivers.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Who did they put in them? They put in them arguably, well, aside from Joey Logano, they put in some of the more popular drivers for the manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They did.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got to have Chase Elliott there. Why do they bring in Denny Hamlin, Michael Jordan?
Yeah.
Right?
They've
got that covered. Why they bring in Joey Logano? Well, because they need somebody. Matty D probably wasn't available. But that's what I'm saying. Go with the people that are big fans of. Obviously, you got Chase Elliott. Okay, where's Ryan Blaney?
Mm-hmm.
Where's Matt DiBenedetto? Those were guys that you were going to be like, okay, most people are huge fans of them.
Yeah.
Right? Bubba Wallace probably we would have had so many comments with people flipping out that it was him, but Denny was there at least.
Mm-hmm.
No mention, though. No mention of the small teams. Nothing. When he talked about, we're so glad to have Ganassi Racing, we're so glad to have Hendrick, didn't mention JTG, didn't mention Starcom,
Yeah.
Nothing. Didn't mention Rick Ware.
I don't know, those type of things I feel like you should kind of keep. I mean, those guys are big contributors to the sport, but I feel like they know who they are. Like either mention everybody or mention nobody. Like just say thanks to the Chevrolet teams, or say thanks to the Chevrolet teams, or whatever. But I mean, it starts right at the top. If you're not, how are you going to get these guys exposure if you're not even going to mention their name? I mean, I forget who it was when I was looking this morning when I got up, and I'd like to give them credit, like how they could have really unveiled these cars, like at Darlington with a throwback weekend, like bringing out like all the old gen cars right up to these ones and like made like a really cool deal of it. That would have been, I feel like that was kind of a wasted opportunity there.
The whole thing was a bit hokey.
Like they could have made it pretty nostalgic. Like at Darlington this weekend of all places, where you could bring like all the old race cars.
They are doing that, the virtual thing tonight with the throwback schemes on the new car.
Yeah, and I think that's cool. And
that's good.
We will 100% be watching that. Yeah. But I mean, the overall unveiling of the car, they could have, like, it didn't have to be on Sunday or on the weekend. Like they could have had like a big track day today and done it, like, I don't put all the COVID stuff aside, but like just had like the industry people there and had like a sweet parade of a bunch of the old cars, like Oldsmobiles and Buicks and Plymouths. And
I was waiting for them to make a surprise announcement and be like, and here's our fourth manufacturer, right? I was so ready for that, but
roll the Challenger out or whatever. The best kept secret in like years or something, but no.
It would have been awesome if we were able to get that, but at the end of the day, I still look at it as a positive. I think now interesting about the talk about what that was, it rear wheel drive or something, which is something I guess the
independent rear suspension as opposed to the straight axle. I mean, this whole thing is like a whole different animal. And I think backing up to one of my own points where we're talking about massive layoffs. We're talking about massive layoffs for the Hendrick Motorsports, for the Joe Gibbs Racings, the Starcom Racings, like Charlie has told us. Derek Cope and the partners at Starcom Racing have been pretty smart in terms of the way they've acquired their shop and the way they do business. They keep it pretty small, where they may not feel the effects necessary, or like having to make that call of slashing X number of people from their workforce. This is where it all starts to maybe even things out a little bit more.
That's when I look at, okay, if I'm a company and I'm spending, our team's going to need less sponsorship dollars now? Is that where they're saying it's going to make it
right away? I would say no,
effective?
due to the inherent expense of the upgrade. But apparently the drum that they're beating is that this is overall going to cut down on costs. Like, why they're capping it at 7.
I wouldn't think immediately though, right? Because they're going to have.
No, I think inherently it's going to cost more than ever, or like immediately it's going to cost more than ever.
Now the bonus might be that they would sell the Cup cars, but the Cup cars
to who?
ARCA, I guess.
To struggling series.
That's again, and then again,
you're going to sell like 40 plus teams worth of cars to 12
That's how
teams.
you're playing. It's like, ARCA right there.
Yeah.
You fill it up with all the old cars, right?
Like,
I mean, that's part of the thing, right? Is you back in the day, man, the ARCA series had its own competitors, but let's see if you take away Venturini Motorsports, what's left, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you have those guys, the good old folks like Brad Smith and all of them, not competitive cars. You have the gentleman drivers.
Fighting the good fight.
The gentleman drivers who are basically there because they got money, like Scott Melton. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if that's true, but I think he's got his business on his car or whatever. So, it irritates me to no end that we have the road to Indy in the IndyCar ranks. They have a USF 2000 that had 26 cars this year. You had Indy Pro 2000 that had 17, Indy Lights that had 13. And those are all up considerably compared to where they were a couple of years ago. And then you have IndyCar sitting at 24 cars right now, potentially 38 competing for the Indianapolis 500 trying to get in. Mm-hmm. That's a great thing to hear. But again, it's racing as a whole. Canada, we're probably in the worst shape, I think, for racing right now. I think, we haven't really talked much about the Penny Series because, it's a sore topic for both of us because the likelihood, while again, I wish NASCAR in Canada would just come out and say it already instead of just, wait. We know it's going to be delayed. We know.
Yeah.
Like they haven't said anything yet.
It's been pretty quiet. And I mean, we're all sort of in a wait and see for life in general, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And you hear Trudeau talking about that we're possibly going to be able to do interprovincial traveling by summertime, which is encouraging. And I'll tell you, when Adam and Clinton were on with us, it made me feel a little bit more reassurance.
Yeah.
Clinton's got his finger on the pulse, like both of them, but like Clinton's in the management end of things with racetracks, and he's part of this set with Mark Rinaldi and the coalition and trying to have like a safe reopening. All these, like these guys are doing their homework and going back to basics and finding out what doesn't work and what can be modernized and brought into the new age, putting COVID aside. But like, that's all the better for streamlining expenses, paper trails, and physical contact for the health standpoint, health and safety. Now we're all just sort of in the wait and see pattern, and it's killing us as fans, like especially from the, like you said, the Pinty's perspective. We're in the wait and see. We know it's going to be delayed.
APC already came out and said that their first race is postponed. So naturally, if theirs is postponed, Pinty's was supposed to be the day after. So why haven't they come out and said something? It is so annoying that we know what we're waiting to hear. Just do it already. Rip the bandage off. Everybody's already been pissed off. Everybody is expecting it. The best thing they could do is just say it's postponed, which is what APC said. It didn't say canceled. They said postponed, which is why I think that their schedule was such a great schedule in the first place, because I think NASCAR knew this was going to happen.
Yeah,
I think they knew. That's why. Why else would they have moved CTMP to, the fall?
Yeah,
they knew. They knew exactly, and that's why they had the big races at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. And
they didn't. They put
that's
Sunset
to their credit too.
Yeah,
I mean,
in Flamborough, they put them up there because I guess it's easy probably for them to just like rebook those tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we know that Victoria Day weekend is not going to happen. We know Formula One is not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That one was really, that's not, likelihood is that you're not going to see Three Rivers because it's a festival. I just don't see them doing that. And I don't see, and I'm pretty sure we've kind of expected. Again, same thing. Why haven't they come out and said the Honda Grand Prix is canceled this year? We know it's happening.
It's
like we
all
know
those types of events have already. It's gone without saying.
Well, and
almost,
this is what's
some of them have been said. Where it's
so infuriating, Graydon. It's so infuriating that they're talking about like reopening people to go see hockey games and base. I had the freaking Texas Stadium filled with people. Like when you go to a racetrack, you aren't literally right beside another person. In most cases, at least in our experience in Canada, you can sit wherever the fuck you want. Right? It's not like you need to literally be butt to butt to butt in seat. It's not like that. Not to mention you're outside. You're not in an it's so frustrating. Mark, thank you for tuning in. Mark Hall. We got two Halls watching us right now, Mark and Matt. So moderator Matt is here. Mark gonna see a pile of racing in August, September. It better be that way.
Yeah, I mean that's
we have to see that Land Shark 15 out there, my friend. We got to see that Land Shark 15. Yeah, that's that. There we go. The lemon lime seltzer.
All of them. I don't even know which one's my favorite. By the way, they're great.
As long as they are willing to sponsor, that's all that matters. I mean, welcome companies coming into racing, especially at a time like this.
Hey, since Mark's here, I on my little page of notes, when we're talking about this cup unveiling and stuff, but we're also just doing a few things back here at home, keeping some focus on Canada and Hall Motorsports with being part of the Quick team and Land Shark Canada coming on. That's awesome for you guys, Mark. And
so happy to see that.
Yeah. So
I mean, those guys. They work.
Look at the decals on your cars. I mean, you guys do a ton of legwork, obviously, to get sponsors on your car. So good on you.
They work so hard, and I've been such a big supporter of that team. I think we're gonna. I mean,
I gotta get me a T-shirt.
Mark's been teasing me. He's been teasing me. Mark and Mike actually have both been teasing me about there's some even bigger news coming. So I'm thinking Junior's got to be doing a Pindy's race. I think that's.
There's been some subtle, not so subtle tweets.
Not so subtle hints.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, if Land Shark has come on and Land Shark really is invested, and Quick too. I don't know, man. I think a Quick Land Shark car would look really good on the racetrack. So So Mark says, going to see a pile of racing in August, September, and not related. I don't know what that means, but I'll take it. And
not related, both halls.
Good job, Graydon. Mark Hall, over 20 sponsors on that car. 20 sponsors.
That's how you do it.
Like? You know what I like about it too is that they constantly post about their sponsors.
Yeah,
constantly post about them, and it's something you don't see from a lot of race teams.
And that's from like a trade standpoint, whether you do one big job or 50 little jobs, if it equates to the year's revenue. And I mean, in the racing world, if you have all those different sponsors on your car, that's all those relationships you've made. And that goes a long way. And I mean, that's deeper than the racing. You're making relationships that down the road, if you're stuck for something, or hell, if you got a flat tire on the side of the road and the guy sees you go by, he's going to stop and see you. I mean, that's awesome. So good job, HHM.
And, you know, it's cool. Mark says he's biting his tongue. You could just tell us, no, we're planning on having actually Junior, Mike, and maybe Mark will get you all three of you guys.
Yeah, we're not trying to bait it out of you.
Yeah, we're
unless you really want it.
The plan was to get Kevin and Mike Jr. to be on the show when the season was going to start, but obviously we don't know when that's going to be. So we're still going to get Ontario sportsman coverage on the show. You know, one thing that I really love about it too is that because they constantly post about their sponsors, my dad was looking for a trailer, so I was like, oh, Action Trailers, you know.
Bam.
The first person I thought of was because they post their companies.
That's how I got mine, was because of them.
Yeah, it's what you do, man.
Yep.
And of course, since they've been posting about Land Shark, all I can think about is booze, and I'm not even a drinker. So I ended up getting some
Jessica is not a drinker too, Cam.
And she likes
seltzers. Yeah, the malt brew with the fruit in them, they are very, very good.
I'll be honest, I had a vodka.
I saw that on your birthday.
Vodka from one of the coolest sponsors, or like Brock Street Brewery in Pickering. And I'm going to create a car because the logo is beautiful. I love that logo so much. And so what we do now is I see companies' logos and I'm just like, that needs to be on a car. You know?
You never know, right? You might just catch the right set of eyes.
As soon as I tweeted out about it, they're just like, they retweeted right away and they liked it. So I'm like, maybe I got to just do a car up and they'll like and retweet that. And maybe we'll get a Brock Street Brewery car out there. And we're looking for sponsors. So if Brock Street, you know, wants to sponsor us, I know Graydon is all for any sort of alcoholic beverage being a sponsor.
Yeah.
He can drink on air. So,
hey, you want camera time? I can give it to you. That's everything in moderation.
Why don't you give us a shot of the Land Shark right now? Get a
look at that
shot
beauty
of that
there.
thing.
The nice
celebration for Mark.
The Land Shark family of drivers, or whatever.
The Land Shark family of drivers. That's right. Waterloo Brewing, you know, coming on and helping them. I hope that comes out and even bigger. You know, I did a car for them, a fictional ride, and I'm just like, damn, that would look so nice on a Penny's car. You know, it was like, I think it's like purple and yellow, and it's like, that's such an odd combination. And then you tie in with, say, like Booster Juice, purple and yellow as well, right? Perfect combination there. Mark Hall, that's the way sponsor team dynamic works. Maddie, I'm not a drinker either. All right, buddy. We don't need to get drunk to have a good time, man. Just see some racing. And I mean,
I don't get drunk really anymore. I just sip on them because
you've got enough flowing through your blood. You don't get drunk because it's just naturally buzzed. But yeah, we've got, hopefully, you know, we're not doing a new episode this week. This is essentially what we're putting out. You know, we've kind of hit a wall in terms of our interviews. We've had a couple of them dry up on us, and you know, sometimes you just need to recharge. And you know, we've had such great interviews, such great people on the show already. It's kind of shocking that we got as many people as we did. You can still look out, and we would still be able to get. I think we're still aiming for Anthony Simone, Mark Antoine Cameron, TJ Renato, Mark Dilley. Mark Dilley, we actually started that interview and it was going amazing, except he had some internet issues, and he had such a good. He was on a roll, man. He had such good. He had such good takes, and he's so knowledgeable, and it just.
And we wanted to get JF, and we were talking about having both the Dumoulins on again, maybe together as like brothers and brothers with the Bunn sons too. And so we are looking to get everybody in again for another round, of course, too. But yeah, and we're just kind of at that preseason, I don't know, we're kind of like NASCAR in
What do we?
Canada right now. We're all in a holding pattern here.
Yeah.
But there's a few of these things that Cam and I just wanted to get out, and this just kind of seemed like the good day to do it. And
yeah,
I mean,
race venting is what we should call it.
Yeah, some venting and
race venting.
And we wanted
that sounds like we're talking about race, like people's race. No, that's not what we're talking about.
But it's cool that Mark Hall is joining us, because I did have him, like, aside from this venting and talking about the next gen car and stuff, but I had the shout out. I mean, what they do and the Ontario Sportsman Series, it's bang for the buck advertising with a team like Ragnacal Motorsports. I mean, you got your logo on that car, and you have a relationship. Obviously, it's a testimonial. I mean, a team like that has companies that not only come on board but stay on board. I mean, they obviously make great relationships. So,
and the model,
good for them.
The model is so much easier than any
and
series, you know?
and the Sportsman Series itself is maybe showing a little bit how it's done. You don't need cutting edge, brand new, huge budget to. And I mean, racing is relative.
I swear,
speed, money buys speed in every series, but
exactly.
You don't need brand new cutting edge chassis to have a competitive race. That's what I'm saying, is that if you line up a bunch of relative cars with a bunch of guys and girls that want to get up on the wheel and show what they got, that's the series to look at. And I hope that, like you said, Mark, later this summer, not only that you guys get racing, that we can get to the stands, because I've said it to you a couple of times and I mean it. We want to get there and sit in the stands and watch some. Yeah, absolutely. I got to get me a t-shirt.
That 15, beautiful car, 75, beautiful car. And now you got the number 2, which is, you know, one of our favorites. It's Dodge Challenger, man. You gotta love seeing those cars. Todd Shepard's going to be out of their series. They're looking for sponsorship for him too. So, you know, and it's already got yellow and black on it. So I'm like, it's perfect for a ton of sponsorship. Mike's Hard Lemonade would be perfect down there with its stocking wall. Just saying. But you know, that's really what it is if you get a series like that where, say, it could be $5,000 to be on a car.
Yeah.
Okay. $5,000 is way better for the full season even than $25,000 a race. Like, that's just, in this time and age, essentially it's got to be, you know, and what they do is very different from what I see a lot of teams. A lot of teams kind of do, like, once in a while they'll post about their sponsor. They post almost every week about something that's going on with the team. They post, and they're constantly posting photos.
Social media imprint counts for a lot. That's your part of your advertising campaign. And now
with Quick, they're even selling Quick at their shop. So again, they're doing something for the sponsor. See, that's the thing. Companies nowadays, they don't want to just sponsor because they're nice. No, they want something out of it, right?
Absolutely.
So if they're going to eventually be able to do product lines and die cast for NASCAR in Canada, that they don't realize how much that would actually help teams. But the problem is that they have to have so much revenue to be able to afford to do it. They've got to, like, in this stage, you got to get NASCAR to have an official, you know, die cast maker in Canada, or an official, you know, I don't know, an official commercial apparel, you know, commercial apparel, you know, Chaco is great and all that, but you can go and get some of those, you know, there's a t-shirt manufacturing place, you know, get them to make 100 t-shirts for $25 or something along, I don't know, something like $100. I don't know. But then the teams could sell that, get a bit more revenue coming in. You know, that's at least where EHR has that option, because they have Chaco, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of teams can't do merch. It's so expensive. They have to do all their marketing themselves. A lot of these, this is the one thing too, Graydon, a lot of them have full-time jobs.
Yeah.
It's not racing is not their full-time job.
And that's why, like, when I have this hat that like a driver gives to you. That's why these things I have and I wear them.
Mm-hmm.
I want to
Mine's
show
wrestling, but okay, same
but
deal.
but you know what, like, yeah, you have like any sort of EHR merchandise that the team has given you, or like like my DJK hat, like stuff like that goes a long way. I mean, their race budget is just that. Like, so much of their sponsorship dollars goes into the race program to be competitive, that if they do get to go to the trouble and effort of putting merch out there and you get a piece of that, that's an honor to have. Like, every time I put this thing on my head, that's why I said this is the last hat I'll ever need, because except for maybe its replacement.
And Mark probably knows a bit more about that. Yes, Epic Racewear, Mark, that is correct. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is not just Epic Racewear.
It's nice that Mark's here to be able to speak to some of this stuff. That's
exactly.
Great.
We're gonna get Mark on the show. Him, Mike.
You're like
Mike,
our unofficial guest.
Kevin,
right now,
there's gonna be one, but we need these again.
Yes,
we need them. I mean, I don't want to go and support somebody that's taking apart models. And I know there's somebody that does do die cast. He does custom die cast, but that's technically infringement because you're impeding on somebody's paint scheme and their design patents. So because I work in that field, so
yeah.
But this is probably, it's somewhat a little heavy, pretty cheap plastic. Just do something like this.
But it's the symbol of it, man.
It's the symbol of it. This is ours. This is Canadian. Racing Champions. I also have another one up there that they did for Robin Buck. But we're gonna switch to a different story. And I know I'm throwing it to you on the ball here, but we have my Becker's story in the chat.
Yes.
So I'm curious if you would like to speak to that.
Specifically?
You can, or
okay. I have this in my notes.
I figured you would.
For everyone listening, our buddy Brad Miller at Laps for MD,
my
Becker's story. I mean, he shares it through his blog, the struggles of just getting through everyday life with his Becker's disease, and it's affecting his mobility. And Brad's been able to get himself a little motorized scooter, which is great. And I hope that we get to see TMP maybe later this summer, if all this schedule works out, we get to see Brad there. But in order for Brad to get there, Brad's got to get himself a set of wheels that little set of wheels can be transported with. And he's got a bit of a fundraiser going, and what we're pledging to do, I don't know what this is going to fetch, but as some of you may or may not know, it's been a few years since she's run, but my boys' school used to have a soapbox derby, not in the traditional sense. It was actually sort of a team component. It was a hay bale oval set up, and what happened was one person would push the other one around to the start finish line, and they would do a driver pusher swap and do the second lap. And my kids, man, that was 2016 or 17, because Christopher Bell drove for their Scott that year. We started it out as an 88 car and rebranded it to the Scott Steckley paint scheme with a Laps for MD deco. And who knew years later that 22 Racing and Laps for MD would end up joining forces. At any rate, here we are now. My boys are too big for this soapbox racer. So what we are trying to do.
And you are too.
Yes. We're trying to organize some sort of an auction. And again, I mean, I'll detail what the soapboxer is made of. It is capable of doing a traditional. I built it for that reason, to do a downhill race. We were thinking about trying to do it, and we just never did. But so it is capable of running a real downhill soapbox derby race. But I'm hoping that the symbol of it, when we can maybe generate some money for Brad's vehicle initiative. And of course, every penny that when this happens, I don't know exactly when we can make this happen, but obviously time is sort of the essence. So we're trying to get the wheels in motion to this literally as quick as we can. And once we get this thing put together, I'm going to refurbish it a little bit. It's been raced. I'll try and keep some of the charm to it, but get it. And it is signed by Scott Steckley, which I have also talked to Scott, and Scott has pledged a bit of team merch maybe to throw in and make a bit of a prize pack so that you don't just get the soapbox car, that you get a bit of team merch or maybe some race tickets, depending on what that situation might be. So to Brad, to everybody out there, this is an initiative that we're trying to get together here pretty quick. And hopefully we can get the show on the road pretty shortly and get some funds raised for Brad's vehicle fund.
Yeah, this was something that, Graydon is extremely passionate about. And, as soon as he said, can we do this? Of course we can do this. There's a bit more to it. We've, reached out to a couple dealerships within the GTA. I've reached out to a couple different car manufacturers, and we're waiting to see if something like that could happen, because I think Graydon, you and I were definitely all about helping however we can. And I personally think having a laps for MD SUV or minivan putting around the race course, even if we can get it parked in the infield or the fan area, and so that we can have a draw or something like that at the racetrack, there's options there. And we want to do what we can. Sorry, now you're ruining my moment here.
Yeah, so stay tuned, everybody, for that, because we are trying to get all the I's dotted and T's crossed on that, including you, Brad. I know that this is something that you'd like to get sooner than later, and we're trying to do our part to that as quick as we can.
We'd love to donate every penny we have, but we also don't have many pennies ourselves. So, we're
just pledging whatever we can get for you is what we're going to get for you.
We've said before, my dad's got a lot of connections to a lot of places, being a firefighter for so many years. So we were able to get, I don't even know if we even mentioned this before, that we were able to get Larry Jackson a tire thanks to some of firefighter connections. So we've got one tire for Larry Jackson.
And that was right from Larry's interview too, that he said if he could just get even sponsorship for one tire.
Yeah.
And his brotherhood of firefighters came together and got him at least that anyway.
Yeah, we got him at least one tire. So, but
little bits at a time. Kat, like this has been sort of the premise of the show. We've wanted to be able to showcase the personalities in Canadian, particularly the Pinty series, but just so we have an opportunity to get to know these people. And I mean, including Brad, who we've had the opportunity on when he pinch hitted for me.
Yeah.
But it shows that the racing family is just that. Everybody comes together and hopefully we can make something happen here pretty shortly.
I will say that, my dad approached a couple different organizations. I didn't even realize that the firefighters, their boot drive is for MD. So,
nice.
So it actually kind of works out that way. I've reached out to Kia. Kia did say no. So I'm going to go set a Kia on fire. No, I'm just kidding. But
that's recorded.
Yeah, but You didn't want to help me. Oh. It sounds like it's like the online people on social media. God forbid you didn't, Marcus Lemonis, you didn't like my drawing. I'm swearing off the truck series forever.
Yeah, see, this is the other side to the sword now, is where you get somebody that means well and starts an initiative, and then it just turns ugly.
Brutal.
I'd like to think Canada's not getting like that, and like there's no downside to whenever this thing happens for Brad's vehicle. I mean, whatever anyone would be willing to give would definitely go a long way and count for a lot.
I mean, a BOW is okay. I mean, I think he'd prefer a BMW, but a box on wheels, listen, it's not going to do the trick. He kind of needs it to pull. He's got to be able to pull the mobility scooter. So, we're, like I said, I really feel that there's marketing gold here. I do. You guys are hilarious in the chat. Yeah. Matthew pointing out it's archived on YouTube forever now. No, it's not. Mark Hall off the rails. Yeah, we're getting there. This is what years of being stuck inside is doing to us. Geez. But we definitely want to. I still want to get Davin, our graphic designer, to do up a Laps for MD like a van picture of a van with the Laps for MD on it, because I still think that the best, like for Brad even, is you can have the Laps for MD mobile sponsored by either Dodge. We've actually reached out. That's who we reached out to, because Dodge is awesome. And we know kind of somebody within that area. So we reached out to Dodge in Oshawa and Pickering, Ajax, because I believe Brad's out in Oshawa. So we reached out there, and I figured because they already sponsored the Penny Series, how friggin' cool would it be to have a challenge? Even if they say, for a race that we get the Laps for MD Mobile to pace the field. I'm just saying, we've got big dreams for you, Brad.
Yeah.
We've got big dreams for you, even if
we hope to get you a few bucks anyways, but
or a mobility scooter race with the NASCAR Penny Series drivers in support of Laps for MD. That would be kind of fun. We talked about curling, but I think a mobility scooter race might be fun, like the golf cart race from way back, the Chevy Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
Jeff Gordon got his hand run over.
And
he fell out of the side of the golf cart. Yeah, that was one of my favorite clips.
That was hilarious.
I hated Jeff Gordon back then, so I laughed my ass off.
Yeah, he was kind of the most hated man around here too.
That's
my parents' house.
Is I was so annoyed with Kyle Busch's just the disrespect from people. Like I can't believe it's me saying that. Like these guys are being so rude to Kyle Busch. I used to hate Kyle Busch. Hated
Agreed.
him. And I think his wife is the reason why I love him now.
Behind every good man's a good woman. She helped him.
I think helps soften him up and shows his personality, and sharing their story, what they've had to go through.
Oh my God, that video.
I bawled like a baby watching it.
Big time.
You can tell how much Samantha wants to be a mom.
Yeah.
And I can't.
We had friends in that exact same situation, so we know exactly what they're talking about. It's tough to watch.
He was there, so like it's not an adoption or anything like that was their own.
No, he was a product of in vitro fertilization. I'm pretty sure
he was in vitro.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
I'm pretty sure.
And I think it's if I remember correctly from one of her posts earlier, it's both of them. It's not just her. Like he has, I think, low sperm count or something, and she has.
They're just kind of the perfect combination, kind of.
And and the fact that she in that last video she'd mentioned like there was 2 sacks, so there could have been like twins. Oh, fuck, my heart broke so much.
Yeah, that's.
But I will say, Graydon, it is good. I think it's good that they share that.
It is. I mean,
I appreciate it.
And some people, like, you have to understand game face versus real life. And yes, Kyle Busch can be the worst when it comes to game face and an attitude. Like, he has the refuse to, when he's at the office, everybody knows it. Second's the first loser to him, and he hates that. And any team owner, I mean, to an extent, would love to have that in their driver. Maybe not quite to the extent sometimes that he goes to, but at the same time, those people that have that much hatred for him can actually see the human side of him. And those videos like that, I mean, they fight real human struggles just like everyone else, no matter how much you have in the bank. I mean, no amount of money in the world can bring them another child. And that's one of the most painful things to see. And that's
to be
sad.
so public, to be so public,
like to share that so people feel they're not alone. Like
he wasn't somebody who would show his emotion, like his anger. But he would never show that, like,
the sensitive side.
And that's refreshing.
It is.
You know, it's so refreshing.
It shows his human side.
I think a lot of race car drivers are Chase Elliott, where they sound as interested as, you know, the most bored person in the world. Like, he literally always sounds like he's falling asleep, right? And it's so nice and refreshing to see somebody that does, you know, he could be a villain out on the racetrack.
Watch every interview that Matt DiBenedetto's finished second. I mean,
I got teary-eyed after his Bristol interview.
Exactly. Like, that's the kind of emotion you like to see. When Hathaway wins, when DJ wins, like
Hathaway's when Hudson was born.
Yeah.
And he was bawling like a baby.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like
those interviews, like, we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
And Hudson's like, what, 7? I don't know how old he is.
He's racing pretty soon. He's got a cart and everything built up. So,
like, those kinds of interviews, like when Jamie McMurray won those races, like, you never forget a grateful winner. Like
Truex with the Coke 600 and with Sherry there. I will never forget Earnhardt and Waltrip. 2001 Pepsi 400 with them standing on the car and hugging. And I just had my man tears I was just.
Yeah.
I didn't even, the funny thing is, I didn't watch NASCAR in 01. I saw that after that year. You know? Nobody liked plain white bread.
What's that?
Mark Hall. No, nobody likes, I guess, plain white bread. Yeah, no. We don't like plain white bread. It's boring, right? And that's why making NASCAR more diverse makes it better. I can't believe people are still stuck in that, like, ancient ways. Like, I would love it if we could open the Penny Series up to the Sportsman Series so I could see Doug Cathcart's 2003 Pontiac Grand Prix running on the track. Like, that makes me happy. Like, seeing that type of parody makes me happy. You know, Alvin McNichol runs the Pontiac Trans Am. Like, you don't even see that in actual racing. But he runs it because it's friggin' wicked, right? Even the Herniac Hall boys with their Monte Carlos, man. Tim Tolton with that number
beautiful
3,
bodies. The
number 3, the red Tim Tolton number 3 with the classic Earnhardt Monte Carlo, like that. Why we limit? Like, I hate that NASCAR limits stuff like that. I know, understand they want it to be like the most current and stuff, but it's almost like adding a hot rod series for the Penny Series, you know?
Well, I think we have to, especially in Canada, like when we were talking about like hybridization and the next where we're going, like where the Cup Series is going with the power plant and stuff. In Canada, it's hard to think of, like, when we go to the hunt camp, not using fossil fuel power of some kind somewhere. Like, when the time comes, I don't know, the evolution, when the next step is here, maybe there's like a nostalgic series where that actually happens, where you do have like the Pushrod V8 series or something like that, where you can run the 03 Grand Prix or the '02 Monte
Sportsman.
Carlos or the '07 Impala.
Now,
Exactly.
if they can, though, make it the ladder system, right? Obviously, I know that's not going to be a popular opinion because if NASCAR comes in, they ruin things, which is true. But just bear in mind, a ladder system, it's kind of already been that way because Connor James moved his way up after winning the championship. Personally, I think Herniak is going to come up. Junior's got to come up. He's a young gun. I think Mark told me, I think he's like 21, right? That's young, right? So, or maybe he's 19. I don't know. I can't remember these things now. I'm old now. Don't you? We figured that out over the last couple of weeks, man. Like Jesus. But that sportsman division, the sportsman series is good. It's going to be great. I think it's very competitive. And from what I see, the people they have in place there, Jim Bray coming on board is big news. That's a great person to have on there.
That's a huge plus.
You've got some of these guys that have been there for years. And it's very similar to Pinty's. That's why I'm like, they should be, even if they were to run the race
companions,
if like they used to, I fucking loved, that's the thing. When I used to go see CASCAR, I was more excited because there was another race that I got to see, and it was a sportsman division. I didn't know anything about it.
Ticket value. Right? That's the thing.
Exactly. If I'm paying for a ticket, I want to see 6 races in one day.
Get a couple support series in there.
I mean, can you imagine? You get APC, they could run a 75 lapper. It doesn't have to be long. APC, Super Stock, Sportsman, and Hot Rods. 4 divisions plus pennies. That's a great day of racing.
Yeah.
Mark said the Oscar Hot Rod Series is very popular for these exact reasons. It's because they get to run whatever they can. So
exactly. And that, look at it. It's awesome racing and it's fun to watch.
Exactly. That's the thing is I found one on there and I'm just like, this is great. Junior's 20. Okay. So I was off by, I would say 19 and I said,
you're all over it. Yeah.
Close.
All around.
I do listen to you, Mark. I swear. But yeah, we want to be able to cover the races at the track. I want to be able to go and see Tyler McMurder, who Murter, not murder. Okay. Tyler McMurder, who
it's not a McDonald's crime.
He's going to run his rookie season at Peterborough this year. And I want to go and see that guy race.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see.
Followed that guy for years.
Have you actually? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about him except that he's going to race. So, but that's what I mean. Like we're getting these friendships and meeting these people. I fucking want to see this 15 and the 75 race, and now the 2. Like I want to see it. It has to happen. I want to go into those pits. We want to bring a camera. I want to show the car, talk about the series, and if we can, let's fill that car with more sponsors.
When they're doing the warm up too, just like fire up the phone and record just a quick snap by the tailpipe and post that out like they do in the cup. Just like
smell too. Like people might talk about the noise. I fucking love the smell of the gas. I love the smell of the engine.
High octane fuel and
the burning rubber. Like
even if it's just pump 94 octane, like when it's run through a carburetor, it smells so good.
There's no better hype for me, man. Like I found myself like what I used to do was I'd literally at the beginning of races, I'd turn the volume up when they did the start your engines just so I could hear it. Oh, we lost your video there, Graydon. But you may have lost his battery. Yeah, so I guess Graydon was gonna hang out for a bit, and there he's back.
Well,
decided just to quit on us. Okay.
My bad. There we go.
Like if you wanted to stop the conversation, all you had to do was ask.
No, I pushed a button
and what happened? Yeah, got to learn not to push buttons.
Yeah, don't do that.
I remember when we tried to start the podcast for the very first time, and Graydon was trying to get this silly thing to work, and Mark says, bring it on. We will, buddy. Got to bring it on, man. We got to get that. Got to get that 15 car. Get as much press as we can. We got to get out there and get Junior to take that quick car for to victory lane too. If he's got to move one of the McGlynn's out of there, then that's cool. He can move Sean out of the way, or Chad. You know, but just as long as he doesn't touch that 3 car, because Tim told him with that Dale Earnhardt number 3, man, like
Yes.
the old Coca-Cola number 3 with the red. Man, now wants to be on camera. I'm not sure, but Graydon, got anything else on your topic list?
Just that we should probably tag Josh when you're done this, because the flow and the mullet you got going there would rival his.
Yeah.
Feast your eyes on that, J-Dub.
Yeah. No, the mullet,
it's
man,
killer, man.
It is in
that's
full
max
swing.
flow.
It is in full swing, and I've been trying to see. The thing is because I'm a pretty big guy. I have a bit more of a wide back, right? So instead of my hair just like naturally flowing, it curls at the fucking bottom. So
it's bad. Like
it turns into
awesome.
This beautiful flow here. And
Killer.
I started going into and shaving the neck so that it gets even more space. So now when I get the
volume,
the blower going, I get the blower going, it's just like flying out back here. And I'm like, man, nice. Josh would be proud, you know. Alex never answered though about the challenge, about doing a mullet challenge. So
see, I'm with him. Like, I don't think we have the hair type. Like you and Josh kind of have that flowy type of lock sort of hair. Alex and I are the straight short hairs.
Whoa. What is this guy? What is our boy Brad Miller saying? Buzz it all off. Are you nuts?
That's what I do.
I've been working at this for over a year now. This is the COVID era.
You got some work into that thing.
This is like, and this is the thing too. If I don't hide it behind my ears, it does really cool, fun stuff like that.
Right? I'm the master of the home haircut, Brad.
And listen, I typically would, right? I need to get a haircut soon. I'm getting close to Cam. Nothing wrong with that, buddy. Why are you making it sound like a bad thing?
No, I think it's great. It should be celebrated.
Get a hat on that bucket? No way, buddy. No way. Got to keep it nice and flat, and then let the back go nice and wild. That's right.
But anyway, there was one other thing I did want to touch on, and while we were talking APC and everything, was Rick Verburn with that killer looking 88. I'm smooth operator with the 88s. I had to give a shout out to Rick Verburn with that killer looking Castrol 88. So another way DJ Racing sort of increasing their footprint in the Canadian stock car racing world. So that's cool to see. So yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to Rick on a really badass looking car.
And I know Rick is extremely excited. You know, I don't think
crew chief for DJK also in
yeah.
Yes.
And he's been doing that for, oh man, how long has he been doing the crew chief gig?
Oh, he's been part of DJ's team for quite a while.
Do a shampoo sponsorship, Brad?
Get Paul Mitchell on the phone right now.
I get Paul Mitchell. Paul Mitchell, yeah. But that's the thing. You got to get. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's crazy that Josh Williams does not have a shampoo sponsor out there yet. You'd think.
Oh my God! If Old Spice made a comeback or something, that'd be sweet.
Well, they did that. This is what I hate is there was that news report that Haley Deegan's getting a bunch of sponsorship offers, but they want her to do social media for them, and they don't want anything to do with sponsoring her car or being on her race suit.
Oh, they just want like personal deals or whatever.
It's like the Beats by Dre for Bubba. I'm like, put the fucking thing on the car.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. That blows the whole theory out of the water.
Like, if I'm a company, or even if I'm the team, I'm like, you know what? Okay, what we'll do is we'll put it on as a favor to you. No cost to put it on the car. We'll put it on the car, And then that way it teases the company.
Yeah.
It teases the company to see what it would look like to have their logo on the car. I think a lot of it is, a lot of these companies don't even go that far. And I understand the model, because it is the model of how you do it, is that
It's cheaper to sponsor a person than a car.
it's cheaper to sponsor than a car. But not only that, it's, you have to go and get it rendered, and then you have to, like, a graphic artist has to do it, so then you have to pay for that. And a lot of people don't want to pay unless it's going to happen.
Right.
Right.
That's for
So
sure. That is very true
what,
in this day and age.
and by
You
doing
want
what we do,
immediate return.
exactly. And doing what, like, we do, is just coming up with a custom, like, ideal brakes. I did one for the ideal brake parts. They follow me on Twitter now. So I'm going to get those guys from 12, man, because they liked a tweet about Robert Wickens. So who's a great person that they could partner up with? If we can get Robbie Wickens in some sort of a hand-controlled Pinty's car in Toronto, get ideal brake parts on there, which is out of Guelph.
Man, it's,
you and I should be running this series, man. I just say the way the ideas that we got flowing out of here, like, Jesus.
I was gonna say I got to get up and grill some steaks, but I mean, talking with
poor you got to get up and grill some steaks. Jeez, what a tough life.
It's always grilling season around here, 24/7, 365.
Yeah, you guys grill everything on there. You're grilling
all the time.
Wings, hot dogs, hamburgers.
That, like I said, I don't cook very well unless it's barbecue. So
you have the luxury. I can only have a George Foreman.
Exactly. See,
because I'm in a condo. So
yeah, put it all into context. But
not disparaging against George Foreman, though. He could tab my business any day. We're almost done too, Maddie. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, I just wanted to say this was kind of I had some personal business to attend to this afternoon, so I was able to get home. So this all worked out pretty well. We maybe solved a bit of the world's problems here today, and
got our venting out.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we always say this after we maybe come down a bit on things, but I mean, this stuff has to be said, and I mean, it's us sitting here talking about it. You can't tell me the rest of the higher ups aren't aware of these issues. So it's all in. We love the sport at the end of the day, and thanks to Mark for chiming in on some of the from the perspective of team ownership side and the marketing standpoint. That was kind of a bonus having sort of an impromptu guest on here on Stickers and Scuffs Live today. And again, thanks for Brad. Thanks to Brad for showing up into the conversation, and we're working on things for you, bud, and hopefully we can get some results for you. Thanks as always to Remax Jack and my bosses at Taylor Farms for what they do for us. And there we go. The whole Michael Waltrip spiel there. Thank Napa, Gatorade, and Goodyear.
Mark Hall with the at least you're not at the wrong track.
That's right.
Mark Hall with one of the best lines. Yeah, they don't. He's not grilling steaks over there, hot dogs. He owns a race team. That makes sense. Yeah, that better be Pinty's hot dogs. Tony would probably be all over him if it wasn't. Some good stuff today, guys. Thanks again for supporting my minivan fundraiser. Honestly, Brad, we wish we could do more. Really.
We don't even know what we're going to do yet.
No, we don't even know
what we're doing for you, but we're going to do something. Yeah, that's all we're
trying. That's all that matters, man. If we can get that lap
now.
D-Mobile running, I still think that there's like that laps. I mean, that's a charity that should be promoted by the series.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't, but
talk is cheap, but we're going to try and back that up with something for you here pretty soon, Brad.
If not, you'll get our smiles and our love, as always, which I know means a ton. All right, Cam K, Graydon Bunn, thanks to our buddies that hung out with us this afternoon. You can check us out every week on the Stickers and Stuffs podcast. Releases on Monday. The Bun Sons release on Friday. We do not have a current guest this week, so we are going to, this is kind of what you're getting from us this week. We have a couple of great exciting guests that we're going to get in the future for you guys. We have some interesting, fun names from the world of media, race car drivers, team owners, potentially some more guys from down south. So that's the goal. So keep it tuned, guys, to us, subscribe, but also share and get other people interested. That's we really need, we need the word to be spread. There's only so much yapping about ourselves that we can do. So
Yep.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Have yourselves a great night. Enjoy now it's overcast again, so I guess enjoy the weather, but whatever. And we'll chat real soon, guys. Thanks, Graydon.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Take care.
Yeah, Mark said, of course, they're Pinty.